Bro, what is happening? What world are we living in? Is this a simulation? Fam, Sean Strickland, the man that is known for being wild on the mic, just dogged walk one of the best strikers in MMA history. Izzy was a minus 675 favorite to win the fight. A very big and comfortable favorite to win the fight. Yet, Sean Strickland dominated in this fight. He won via UD on every judge's scorecard, 49-46. This is arguably the biggest upset in MMA history. Or if not, it's for sure a close second. I'm not going to be breaking down the fight in this video. I'm still going through the tape. And I'm going to watch this fight like 10 times to analyze every little detail because I feel like it's definitely worth doing so. For a fight like this, how could you not? So what I'm going to do in this video is give you my thoughts and review on this fight, as well as pretty much rant about certain things that bothered me heavily about this fight. This is going to be my post reaction of the fight. My emotions are going to be raw. If you guys want the in-depth breakdown video where I go through everything that happened, everything about why Sean Strickland was successful and not Izzy, the whole tactical aspect of the fight, if you're here for that, then please be patient and wait for about 2 days for me to complete the video and make it the best that it can be. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's hop straight into it. So as you guys all know, I'm a big Israel Adesanya fan. I've been a fan of the guy for such a long time now. I've always admired his ability as a fighter. I've seen a lot of his fights. Like, I'm talking a lot as in like fights from like all the way when he was like a nobody competing in local events in New Zealand. I understand his capabilities as a fighter, and when I matched it up with Strickland, I wholeheartedly believe that he can 100% beat Strickland, and he should have. Who was honestly believing that Strickland can win? A lot of the people that picked Strickland to win are the people that were just wishful thinkers. And just to be clear, I'm not going to take anything away from Strickland's performance. It was the greatest performance of his career. He was fantastic. He did everything that he needed to do, and I'm not going to discredit it. But Izzy should not have lost this fight. If you are the middleweight GOAT, which I now take back about Izzy being the middleweight GOAT because this loss puts him so many steps back. If you're an all-time great, this fight shouldn't have been as one-sided as it was in your opponent's favor. This is the third loss in Izzy's career. The first time he lost against Jan Blachowicz, I wasn't really fazed. I didn't really freak out over the loss. Izzy moved up a weight class to chase greatness, and he came up short. It happens. What are the percentages of fighters that become champions? Let alone double champions? Not a whole lot. Jan fought well as the bigger guy, and I felt like Izzy underperformed. It wasn't a loss where I felt like Izzy's career was going to take a turn. Against Pereira in MSG, I was so gutted for him, especially because the narrative of him being the best middleweight in MMA, he's finally going to get his get back against his kickboxing rival. He was winning the fight and almost finished Pereira in the first round. For him to lose and get finished within 2 to 3 minutes left to retain the title was heartbreaking. Even though Izzy lost, he looked good in that fight. He was winning until he didn't. I remember the entire night after that fight being so depressing when he lost. However, for this fight, instead of feeling sad, depressed, or sorry for the guy, I'm very angry and frustrated with Izzy right now. I was watching the fight live and I was visibly getting angrier and angrier as the fight went on. This is the first time I got so angry at Izzy for fighting the way that he did. For this fight, I have no excuses for why he lost. There was no fluke, no injuries, no controversy at all. He lost plain and simple, fair and square. For the entire 25 minutes of the fight, he was losing a majority of it. People speculated that Izzy had a tough weight cut for this fight, and I'm not going to lie, it did look like it was a bit more difficult for him to make the weight this time around. You have to remember the guy is not getting any younger. He's about to be 35, which is the age where people normally hit the last of their prime. But one thing I want to mention is how the fight started and how the fight ended. Again, this is no tactical breakdown, no in-depth breakdown. I'm strictly just talking about the fight purely off of memory. I'm recording this a day after the fight. This is like literally how I feel right after the fight. If you watch how both fighters walked out to the octagon, you can see Strickland appearing like he's feeling the pressure of the moment. And rightfully so. I mean, it's enemy territory. He's used to fighting in the apex where there's less people. It's his first title fight. It happens. Izzy looked like he was comfortable and enjoying the moment as he was walking out. Mans was wearing the hat backwards, and the The energy that he was giving off was like somebody that had been here before. He was dancing, vibing, and having fun. Yet once Izzy took that right hand on the chin in the first round, he was never the same. And when you fast forward to the last 10 seconds of this fight, Strickland literally punked Izzy. You can see Izzy's soul slowly leaving his body. This is the first time anyone has ever done this to him. The first time that I think someone has actually taken Izzy's confidence away from him. This is why when people are asking what's next for Izzy, my response is that it's him taking time off. I don't think he should fight again for the rest of the year, nor do I want to see it. When you suffer a loss like this, if you can't regroup yourself mentally, it can get ugly real quick. We've seen so many great fighters in history never return the same once their confidence is shattered. And people online are wondering how Izzy even lost this fight against Strickland. How did Izzy go from knocking out Pereira to losing in convincing fashion against Strickland? Was Strickland just better than what people thought? Or is Izzy fading as a fighter? In my opinion, I believe it's both. I think Strickland was underestimated, and I think there's something wrong with Izzy as a fighter. Strickland executed perfectly on the feet. He forced Izzy into his weaknesses. He stuck to a game plan and used fundamentals to get the job done. That's what's so beautiful about it. If there's anything you can take away from this fight, it's the fact that sometimes simplicity is better than complexity. Strickland has elite striking defense, and it's nothing fancy, yet it gave Izzy so many problems. If you guys watched my last video about my prediction for this fight, I told you guys that I had a fear that Izzy would approach this fight being too defensive. Do you remember? Roll the tape. However, Izzy has had performances in the past where he knows he can win decisively, but instead of looking for the finish, he'll just coast his way to an easy decision. His problem is that he'll be very defensively slick, he'll move his head, use footwork, control distance, and he won't really get hit a whole lot. And with that comes opportunities where he can counterattack, but sometimes he fails to make those opportunities count. And like I said again, this is not something that Izzy recently just started doing. He's been having issues like this since his kickboxing days. Being on the back foot and slipping shots, he's been doing this. However, his issue is that he'll defend for the sake of defending, not defend for the purpose of returning fire. My coach has always told me that if you're making a guy miss and not making him pay, you're only doing half of the job. And that's what Izzy was doing the entire fight, doing half of the job. Even when he was fainting just for the sake of fainting. When you faint, if you get reads, capitalize on them. Stop drawing reactions for no reason. He did this against Jan as well. If you faint and you don't take advantage of it, you're only doing half of the job. People say defense wins championships, and it does, but only if you make your defense count. The reason why I'm defending against strikes is for me to be offensive in the fight. If I'm making a guy miss and not making him pay, the fight doesn't change. Defense does not weigh more than damage on the scoring criteria. You're giving your opponent free opportunities to work, attack, and score in the fight. And meanwhile, you're just trying to run. Yes, I said it, he ran. Why? Because he kept moving without the intentions of scoring. I'm also frustrated because Izzy did not adapt in this fight. He didn't make any adjustments or change his game plan throughout the fight. He fought the exact same from round 1 to round 5. How is that possible when you're one of the best champions in the UFC? His plan of sticking and moving was not successful. Strickland did very well to negate Izzy's game plan. So if that's the case, why are you still sticking and moving on the back foot? Why are you still trying to score points? Isn't it crazy that before the fight, the narrative was that Strickland needed to be active and Izzy needed to counterstrike? Yet it ended up being the complete opposite. Strickland was counterstriking the counter-striker. And this leads me to my next point. It was clear as day that Izzy needed to be offensive to win the fight. Just like how when I broke down the fight between Izzy and Pereira, I said that Izzy needed to be offensive. And in this fight, it was the exact same. He needed to take the fight to Strickland in order to win. Yet where was the urgency? Where was the Izzy that fought Kelvin Gastelum? What happened to the guy that said, "You can't beat me, I'm prepared to die"? Where's the guy that displayed incredible mental strength just 5 months ago by erasing the memory of your rival beating you 3 times in a row in order to secure the greatest finish of your career? After the fight, Izzy posted a video online saying, "I hate losing, but I love living." And I replied to it by saying, "I appreciate you as a fighter, but if I'm being honest, once you became champion, I'm not too sure if you actually hate losing anymore." It looks like there wasn't one time during the fight where Izzy even thought about taking a risk during the fight, let alone actually going out and doing it. It looked like he was gun shy, honestly. When Strickland landed anything on Izzy, it produced a much bigger reaction compared to when Izzy landed on Strickland. So if the fire isn't there anymore because you've now achieved everything that you have achieved, then you gotta ask yourself, should I keep doing this? If you compare Izzy's title reign to his contender fights, you see a completely different fighter, not even physically but mentally. Before Izzy became champion, champion, he was much more creative as a striker. You saw more weapons in the arsenal. Once he became champion, it was long-range attacks and fighting off the back foot for a majority of the time. He was just cruising to decisions. I'm convinced that Izzy could have now become a frontrunner. Teddy Atlas once said that Mike Tyson doesn't have a win on his record because when someone he fought resisted against him, Mike Tyson folded. And when Sean Strickland was able to fight back and make him work, what did Izzy do? Nothing. Fam, we were in the 5th round where the fight was close. Whether it was 3-1 Strickland or 2-2 tied up, Izzy had to be more offensive in that 5th round to win. He needed to put everything on the line and he didn't. My mans was chilling and continuing to move on the back foot. I was so angry, man. Once the 3rd round was done, I knew Izzy was going to lose. He didn't try to regain dominance and control of the fight. He was purely trying to outwork Strickland by scoring points. It seems like Izzy is getting figured out by the middleweights. Someone who can check kicks, cut off the cage intelligently, pressure with activity, and effectively grapple seems like the way to go to beat Izzy. And again, it shouldn't be that way if you're a great fighter. If you're an all-time great, if you are who you say you are, it shouldn't be this easy. All this talk about I'm not underestimating him, but I'm gonna make it look easy, and then Strickland goes out there and makes him look easy. He was even getting booed during the fight as well in Australia. Like, it was just all a mess, man. Why was he also high guard baiting as well? You only do that if you need to do something big. He did that against Pereira because Pereira was getting to his leg. So as a result, he needed to do something fast and effective. Doing that is a gamble. You were letting him time you down the pipe with straight punches. Credit to Sean Strickland for not opening up with wide shots and kept everything straight down the line. Dana White says the rematch should happen next. No, it shouldn't. As an Izzy fan, I'm pissed. He does not deserve a rematch. The way he fought, he deserved to lose. Let him fight another contender and prove to the world that he's still capable of being a champion mentally. Is the will to win still there? Or is the hunger gone? Are you living life too comfortably now to the point where you don't feel the need to try to go out there and win? Even Strickland said he felt like Izzy didn't even try out there. And that is not acceptable. Losing is one thing. Not trying is a whole completely different thing. You can't even defend this performance. That's when it becomes a problem. When your own fans can't even campaign for you to win the fight, that's where it gets bad. It wasn't even close for him to have an immediate rematch. But knowing the UFC, they'll probably book it next. Stay tuned for the part 2 of this video because, again, I'm going to break down everything that you need to see about this fight. This video was made for me to just rant. Izzy needs to take a good amount of time off and chill in the mountains, man. This guy's been at it for so long now. Super active champion, which everyone should appreciate, and at some point you need to realize that that will take a toll. I don't want to see him fight again this year. I don't even want to see his YouTube reactions to every other UFC event. He needs to tap in with himself before he tries to tap in with the people again. I'm not trying to see this man end up like Conor McGregor, Anthony Joshua, or Rose Namajunas. And that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I have to say, and let me know, did Izzy have an off night, or was Strickland just that much more impressive? Drop a comment and let me know in the comment section down below. Now, if you guys enjoy content that is related to combat sports, please drop a like on this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel down below. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you can't get enough of the content on this channel, please head over to my Twitter. I post a lot of tweets about combat sports that you do not want to miss. And other than that, it's been Steven, signing out. Peace.